Sure did.
Okay. Thank you all. Welcome to the September 2nd workshop meeting of Plymouth Township Council. Now called to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. A brief announcement that council will be meeting in an executive session at the conclusion of this meeting to discuss collective bargaining, public safety, and potential litigation matters. Our first presentation this evening will be on a zoning amendment application for which we'll have a hearing next week. I believe Sal is here for that. Thank you for returning to freshen our recollections on what's being proposed.
I don't know where to go. I'm just going to go over to the corner.
You are at the head of the table.
Can we sit?
Whatever makes you comfortable.
Well, I'm going to give it to Sal pretty quickly. So I'm Kristen Pianzio, attorney for the applicant from Hamburg, Rubin, Mullen, Maxwell, and Lupin. I'm here with Sal Payon. We have our civil engineer here, our traffic engineer, should you have any questions for them. We were here back in April, gave you a big presentation about what we want to do with this property. We have 4 vacant buildings on the property. We'd like to redevelop them. This seems to be the theme across Montgomery County, at least for me, in revitalizing and redeveloping empty vacant buildings. The Payon family is not new to Plymouth Township. Sal will tell you about that. I'm going to turn it over to him and talk about what he has in mind for this property.
All right, thank you, and appreciate you coming back. We just wanted to, before the hearing, refresh everybody's recollection about what's being proposed and what we will hear at the hearing next week. So thank you very much for being willing to come back.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate it. Just as a little background, we've been here now a few times, most recently back in April. We did present to the Planning Commission on July 2nd, where they recommended the map amendment. And looking ahead, the site, I'll kind of run through this a little bit. Outlined in red is the site we're talking about. It's kind of in the middle of the screen. There's a location pin there. There are 5 buildings on the site. It's 38 acres. One of the 5 buildings, which is to the top of the screen, it's noted as USI Insurance Services on your screens. That's actually owned by Mission Kids at this point. We have spent some time with Mission Kids, and they are very well aware of this project and what's going on. So again, 38 acres in total. Our proposal involves 29 acres. Currently, there are approvals for an office expansion that would take the site from a 5-building site to a 3-building site, with the 3rd building being 245,000 square feet, totaling 354,000 square feet on the site. That would take the site from 185 to 354,000. The biggest thing we try to do when we get into a rezoning is we try to be really thoughtful about what's going on. It's not just take a piece of paper, put as many lots on as we can. We try to think about what's happening around it. So what we do is, first we refer to Monco 2040, which looks at this site as a townhouse location. It's called mixed-use redevelopment, regional mixed-use center. MCPC did review the application and recommended the map amendment on August 1st in their letter. And then we also looked at Plymouth 2040, which is your comprehensive plan. And looking at that, there's currently 15.5% of the community is townhouses. DVRPC estimates that 2,281 new homes will be needed by 2045. 2,281 more people will be in the township by 2045. That's an additional need of 1,410 homes, 47 housing units per year. And the township's comprehensive plan recommends providing those housing units to meet the needs of the population growth. This is the Monco 2040 page that talks about a regional mixed-use center. That's the location on their map. Here's the township zoning map. And the reason that I bring this up is the next thing we look at is transitions. And we try to be really thoughtful about those zoning transitions. So if you look at what's up on the screen, the site that's highlighted in a red outline is the subject property, and it's currently zoned office laboratory. And if you look around it, and they're all highlighted in yellow, you have D residential almost immediately adjacent to the site, which is what our suggested map amendment would be for. You have apartments, which is the residential special zoning, that's the Sussex Square site. You have B residential, let's call it to Page North or directly above the site. And then beyond that, you have A residential. There's also some limited industrial and interchange development located close by. But if you look at the transition from interchange to apartments to what we're suggesting be D residential, to the B residential, to the A residential, there's a natural progression of a zoning transition, which is something that planners and at least we try to do as developers. Our site, as I mentioned, is 29 acres. The existing office laboratory building that you see at the top of the screen, kind of in the middle, that is the Mission Kids office. To the page left of that, the B residential, that is Alexander Drive. That's the site we built called Plymouth Valley Estates. We have 159 townhouses on this plan. There are 2 different unit types. All of them would suggest 3 to 4 bedrooms, 2.5 to 3.5 bathrooms, 1 to 2-car garages. The units located closer to the Pennsylvania Turnpike, which is to the right side of the page, would be 3 stories, a footprint of 24 feet by 40 feet wide, or 40 feet deep, and between 2,200 and 2,400 square feet. The larger footprint, which would be located closer to Alexander Drive, is a 26-foot wide unit and approximately 54 feet deep. In some cases, we could go deeper, and that's going to range between 2,250 and 2,500 square feet. However, it's a 2-story unit, not 3 stories, and they would all have 2-car garages. When we designed this plan, we really tried to take into account making it a real plan, not just something to put in a presentation and come to a density. So Land Corps and Steve McBrearty were really thoughtful about stormwater management. There are multiple rain gardens located around the site, in addition to supplementing and expanding the existing stormwater basin that's on the site. The access point would be slightly relocated on North Gravers Road. That's on the bottom of the screen. We did that for site distance reasons to make a safer access for anybody who could be there should this project go forward. In addition, there's an access point up on Plymouth Road. That's kind of faded in, but if you look towards the top of the screen, that entrance comes off of Plymouth Road. There's a little bit of a roundabout circle, landscape circle there, comes down into the community going past Mission Kids. And Mission Kids would have access off of Plymouth Road, as would we, and they would also have access through our community down to North Gravers Road. In past discussions, we talked about sidewalk. I think council and the planning agency all felt strongly that sidewalk should be included on both sides of all internal streets, so we would do that. There's an odd little sliver of land in between the Mission Kids office and the Alexander Drive site. That's not a sidewalk going through there. That's not a trail. That's actually a setback line within that area. We're not proposing to do any construction or development in there. That's a really nice natural buffer, and maintaining that buffer is something that was important in Mission Kids. And I'm sure if I asked anybody on Alexander Drive, they would want to see that kept as well. Density, the zoning ordinance permits 8 dwelling units per acre. We are at 5.35 dwelling units per gross acre and 6.88 dwelling units per developable acre. The sketch in front of you is zoning compliant. We are not suggesting or requesting any text amendments. We don't believe we would need any. And a big thing that we try to do with this sketch is parking. The township has a very unique parking ordinance where you can't count a parking space if you have to move a car to get another car to pull out of the property. So what we have is a zoning compliant plan, not including any garages. So there's plenty of parking on the site, and it's spread around the community. It's not all concentrated in one location. Coverage comparisons. We've run through these in the past. What I can tell you is, kind of to summarize, there is less impervious coverage on the post-development design from the pre-development design. There is more green space post-development than there would be pre-development. And there is more open space, about 8.5% more than would be required by the township's ordinance. Everybody asks about traffic. It's always a big topic. The average weekday totals on traffic, because I don't think anybody looks at like one little period of time, right? The totals on the current proposal versus the previously approved proposal, which would be the expanded office, is a little more than 2,000 fewer trips per day. If you were to look at the current versus the existing, it's 350 fewer trips per day. So there is a significant traffic reduction with our plan. Real estate taxes, office properties are down, as Kristen mentioned. There would be approximately an increase in the real estate tax base of close to $1 million. And to give you an idea of the product composition, what you're seeing before you is what we built off of Butler Pike and Plymouth Road at Village Station Circle. This is just an example because it's our most recent 3-story product. If we were to be successful in the rezoning and moving forward, we would probably individualize these units a little bit so they don't look like one large building so much. These units are great inside, really big open floor plan in the main living space. This is the kitchen area and a view from the family room. This is a little bit of a bigger view of that main living space area. And then another product, which would be the larger product that we're currently building right now over in Horsham, is that larger footprint. As you can see, they're all 2-car garages, nice combination of stone and siding, peaked roofs, architectural details on the outside. We actually just put the stone up on the first building this weekend, and it really looks great. We're very pleased and excited how this is turning out. I think it would be great here in the township. And there's a view of the units from the inside. Again, very open floor plan. That great room has taken on a new definition between what it used to be as just a large family room, and now it's the kitchen, the dining area, the family room, all in one space. And that is a summary. I have details that we can dive into if you would like, and answer any questions you have.
I have probably more than 2 questions, Sal. And I know you've probably reflected this in the past, but on behalf of residents who I know have asked me this question but couldn't be here tonight, could you dig a little bit into the traffic? So I'm looking at the chart that's showing 350 fewer visits versus current and 2,100 per day. Fewer visits versus what could happen if there was a 7-story building added to the site. I mean, can you add any other just color commentary to like, how you come up with those numbers, if it factors in other things happening in the township? I know residents are concerned that traffic is going to be an issue, so any additional insights or
Matt Hammond from Traffic Planning Design is here. He's the expert, so I'll let him answer that question.
Good evening. Again, Matt Hammond with Traffic Planning Design. And I must say, this is the first time anyone's ever asked me about traffic. It's usually never an issue. But in all seriousness, so in terms of how we come up with those numbers, it's really just we utilize the industry standards through what's called the Institute of Transportation Engineers Trip Generation Manual. It's usually outlined in most municipal ordinances. That's the documentation that's utilized. But essentially, it's just a compilation of traffic studies that have been done at existing operating developments so that we can have an idea of what a development would generate from a traffic perspective. But this is just one small piece of the overall puzzle from a traffic perspective. So if we're fortunate enough to move forward and get into the land development process, there'll be a traffic study that is prepared, and that traffic study will dive into significant detail with respect to the project. It'll incorporate the trip generation that you see on the screen, but it's going to look at other developments in the area. It's going to look at other roadway improvement projects which may impact the study area or the development itself. Again, other developments that are proposed that would add traffic, and then just general growth in traffic, because you could have a development that's within half a mile that could add traffic to Plymouth Road. We'll take that into account. There's also developments that may be 5 miles away, or just general growth in traffic that we'll include in there as well, and then analyze that as part of the traffic study. We're also aware of the township recently adopting the traffic calming ordinance. So we'll take that into account as far as the traffic study is concerned. We're going to do traffic counts at various intersections surrounding the development and kind of go through and analyze it and see how everything operates and if there's anything that we need to do to help improve the current operation of the roadway network when the development is fully built out. I would say in terms of this table, it's a pretty significant decrease in the amount of traffic when you compare not only what exists out there today, if it was fully occupied, but what could exist if someone were to come in and build that approved 354,000 square foot office complex. And then the other component of that is not only the traffic component, but the pedestrian component with, I believe, the plan showed sidewalks all through the neighborhood and connecting up to the sidewalk system that exists on Plymouth Road. And then moving that driveway on Gravers Road is also a big improvement as well, because it's close right now to that curve. So we're looking to move it about 150 feet back, further back from that curve, which would also help as well from a site distance perspective. But there's a lot of details that we're going to continue to work through and provide the township, again, if we're fortunate enough to move forward and get into the land development stage.
So I think you covered this in what you said, but I'm just going to ask you really directly, because someone was concerned with the Keystone property at the mall being turned into apartments and potentially this development. So that would be factored into your traffic study, looking at what's happening there, even though it's not across the street, it's close by, that would be part of the assessment, the traffic assessment. Is that
Yes, ma'am.
true? Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Yep. So anything that's immediately surrounding it, I would say while the Plymouth Meeting Mall developments, because there's two there, isn't necessarily directly adjacent to, it would add traffic to Plymouth Road, so that would be accounted for.
Okay, thank you.
And the other component to that is the township has a traffic impact fee. And this project would not be a small traffic impact fee. Off the top of my head, round numbers, it's probably in the $320,000 to $350,000 range. So there's a substantial sum that could go into supporting whatever the township has planned or needs.
Thank you, that's helpful, so.
And I have a traffic-related question. When you talk about the traffic reduction, does residential townhome, I mean, we know at offices, their traffic is, when they're, fully occupied and everything, everyone comes in the morning and leaves at a certain time in the afternoon. Does residential tend to spread those numbers out more, or do they also have, most people are coming and going in the morning and, late afternoon, evening?
Sure, great question. Residential tends to coincide with the peaks you'll see in office, because most of the people entering and exiting the residential developments are going to and from work. So if you have office buildings that are seeing a peak in the morning, It's usually as a result of people leaving the residential developments to go to the office and then vice versa coming back. There's a little bit more spread out through the course of the day. Obviously, you have people going and picking up kids from school and taking them to soccer practice and things of that nature. But typically for residential developments, they'll peak at the same times, around the same times as the offices do.
I just want one other quick question, so just so I can answer this, because I know folks will ask, and I'd like to have an answer. In the table, when you say current proposal versus existing, is that existing assuming those offices were full, or
Yes, ma'am.
actual current?
Assuming they were
Assuming
fully
they're full.
occupied. Yep.
Okay.
So at one point, they were fully occupied,
Yes.
and the site was generating what you'll see there at the top portion.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else have questions? Anyone from the township, or are there anyone from the public? Sure. Andy, go ahead.
Thank you. Andy Katronik, resident and EAB Chair, Environmental Advisory Board. It's a question not on zoning related, but building related, and future proofing these buildings, if you are, we're headed into an environment where we really need to be addressing climate change and so forth. What considerations for going beyond code and energy and efficiency are you considering electrifying and making it solar ready, or potentially making that an option as part of the build process?
Well, it's a good question. We've always and continue to try to make our houses as energy efficient as possible. So easy things, Energy Star rated appliances, they're automatic. But one of the things that you can't see behind the walls that we always do in every house is when we frame the home and as we are doing the insulation package, the house isn't just insulated with normal bad insulation in the walls, but all the gaps that are between the sheathing on the outside of the house, they get foamed. And all the gaps between the sill plate on the first floor and the second floor, they get caulked. And that's pretty abnormal for new construction. It's pretty abnormal for any construction. But what we find is that our air loss in the house is dramatically less than a home that doesn't have those details. And then to go beyond that, when the ductwork is installed, instead of just putting the steel duct in together and maybe taping those seams, which is pretty typical in construction, we use what they call a mastic. It's like a paint, and it really seals that ductwork in. So what happens is when the duct is sealed, the HVAC system works much more efficiently. When it works more efficiently, it's not working as hard. When it's not working as hard, it's not using as much energy. And we actually do a what they call blower door test on the house, and our air loss is probably less than 3% in the house, and it happens with every home. So, those are just some of the things that happen. As far as preparing them for solar, that's not something we've gotten into yet on this project. It gets a little bit interesting when you're dealing with an association and trying to address solar panels on a roof, because a lot of times when those roofs need to be replaced, an association does it all at once on a building. So if someone has solar panels on their unit, now whose responsibility is that, and how does that get involved? But that's something we can look at too.
Thank you. Anybody else have any comments? Sure, Bill, go ahead.
Hi, as a former EAB chair, I guess I was here around 2019 when we passed a resolution to become a Ready for 100% clean energy community. And the idea of Ready for 100%, as Cindy's mentioning, is to fight climate change. So our goal is to decarbonize our whole community by 2050. So to put in natural gas at this point with 25 years remaining, it doesn't seem like it would be a real value add for the customer, because they're going to want to have to electrify their home by 2050. So there's an example of a development in Euclid Township, Chester County. I can get that to you, but the developer, because they were a 400 community, came in and built to passive house standard and was able to put in solar and electrify the building. So I'm sorry we didn't get this in front of you earlier, but that would be our goal, is to decarbonize our community by 2050.
What is it called? Something 400?
Ready for 100, meaning ready for 100% clean energy. We want every electricity to be 100% carbon-free by 2035, and then heat and transportation to be carbon-free by 2050. So those were the goals to meet the IPCC, the World Climate Organization, to keep global warming below 1.5 degrees centigrade. So we're already behind the curve because we just hit 1.5 degrees centigrade this last year. So we're moving rapidly to 2 and beyond. So anyway, that's just my comment about energy efficiency and carbon-free.
Okay, we'll look into it. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill, and it may be a question of interpretation for our solicitor of our ordinance, which I think that's aspirational. I don't think we can require people to.
I think it was a resolution, and I'm not sure if it was just for township buildings or if it was for all properties in the township, but I can take a look at
It was for
that.
township buildings and fleets.
That's what I thought, but
And
without having it in front of
with
me.
education of the public, I mean, that's my recollection, educating the public to hopefully encourage them to be, but it's not a legal requirement that people retrofit. My recollection of the resolution that we adopted, and thank you, Alex, it was not an ordinance, it's a resolution.
One more.
One more? Someone else? Sure.
Am I the only resident?
No, Andy and
Well,
Bill
they
are
sounded tied,
residents.
sort of.
So if you can just
Against
say
their
your names.
proposal, by the way.
We have someone who
I
takes
love my gas
minutes.
range. Jared Ricci, 1819. I feel like I'm coming to more of these than I choose to, and I want to thank you for adding it, because I can't attend next week, so I appreciate
That's why we added it, thank
I
you.
appreciate that. I will say, since, when was it? A few months ago, when they said, okay, we motion to move it forward, I drive by there every day and I think about it. I'm getting a lot of anxiety driving around as it is. And it is a kick the can environment. Traffic will come. This will come. This will come. And I heard trends, and I hear everything that's copy paste, copy paste. And it just had me think, why would I not want that office building? Do I, for every extra dollar, get more in return in revenue from the township? I mean, what's back there, and traffic could be managed to some degree, as we've seen. I can't say I'm happy with it. I have now decided I'm against this proposal at this time. And if Sal wants to do it, he can come back next year and maybe gets a better price over there, and we can see what shakes out with the office building that just sold next to the mall for what, $5 million I saw? You have the hotels. What's going to happen to the hotels next? You have the mill. What is going down there next? I mean, there are so many things that happened in the last few years that it feels like you get a proposal in, it meets the 50 criteria of whatever number was proposed 50 years ago that has to be the hurdle to, well, I'm not developing to the extent I could. Develop to the extent you could. Why aren't you? Because it looks to me like it won't fit. Why do we not have, 2040 also has better access, given we had traffic calming? Why do I not see a nice direct access road across? That curve is not a big deal. So when I hear things get emphasized so much of like, we're going to move it 10 feet down, it'll make it so much easier to see. It's not a problem now. And I complain when there's a problem, Chief knows. I'll stop signs missing. So, I mean, these are details when I hear you emphasize them, also makes me angry. I know you're kind of selling the project, but, even with the building stuff you just mentioned, it's like, come on. That's pretty standard. People wrap the duct. Like, if you know about building, those aren't things that really are going to generate these huge environmental aspects. So I think when you guys vote, it's taking it in the respect of it's a given project. Do we need it right now? And have we looked at all the alternatives that better suit us? I know last time you were asked, did you call the school? You said no. Have we called the school since then? An office building doesn't add students. It adds revenue, and to your point, a couple times a day, more traffic. How does that compare? I don't know. Conshohocken is the best example I could think of with what they did with Hotel West in Maine and their office building. I'm down there all the time. It's awesome. Could that work here? I don't know. Would it give us more revenue? I don't know. There are questions, I think, when you vote, should be answered, however you do it, relative to exclude, putting the project on itself aside. Some of the statistics I looked up, yes, Philadelphia region offices down in occupancy. In particular, this suburb down in occupancy, King of Prussia doing a little better. That's cyclical. So to make decisions again at a certain point in time maybe isn't the best way. It feels like the quick, easy way to go about it to me versus something that ties more to 2040. So I appreciate you giving me a chance to come in, voice that, see how you vote Monday. That was my, like I said, since the last meeting, thoughts I've had. And like I said, I appreciate the time. So thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your comments, and we'll certainly take them in consideration. Anybody else have any questions? Okay. Thank you very much for you and your team. Thank you. Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Nice to see you. See you next week.
Yes.
Thank you. Good night.
Okay, our second presentation for this evening will be by the chair of the EAB, the Environmental Advisory Board, on solar panel installation and their final recommendation. Just give them time to get set up as we switch places with our last presentation.
SEI.
Shared Energy Manager, for those keeping score at home, which we have as a grant-funded project right now, who's helping us.
Yeah, you showed up last time.
Andy, I can hear you.
Voice from above.
Who's joining us?
And you're on it tonight.
Volume. Say something.
Yeah, testing. Okay, how about now?
Yeah, I keep turning it down on the speaker. All right.
Whenever you're all ready.
No, thank you for having us back. Andy Katronik, representing the EAB, and we've got Patrick and Kyle on from the Shared Energy Manager resource. Just a refresher, the background is that we're coming back to provide a recommendation to you on the rooftop solar for this building in the GPCC. Follow-up presentation to the solar presentation given back at the May council workshop meeting and the June release of the feasibility study that the SEM did. We incorporated some feedback that we received from that. Kyle, are you guys still on?
Yeah, still here.
Okay, sorry, changed screens there. Okay, sorry. We've also analyzed a different financing scenario that we'll be able to share with you today. To give you what our objective is up front, we are seeking approval now to move forward with the RFP. Non-committal still at this point for these two buildings. In order to support meeting our Ready for 100 goals in 2035. So it's to scope the current project. It is scoped down a little bit from the feasibility study, focused just on the rooftop of the GPCC and the township building. So eliminated the public works shed and the future covered police parking area. So these two rooftop solar projects would encompass about 19% of the total demand for these two buildings. And at this point, this is where I'll turn it over. Kyle or Patrick from the SEM will take through the analysis that they've done.
Yeah, so you're looking at a summary table of 4 project options or 4 financing options for this same solar project. And so for each option in the table, you've got simple payback shown, the energy cost over the life of the array is shown, upfront capital cost to the township, the overall system cost, the available incentives or foreign available incentives, and then the net cost of the project, which is going to be that total system cost minus those available incentives. One note here, this analysis is done at the expected renewal rate for your energy contract. So we anticipate that the energy contract is up for renewal next year. By the time you've had any kind of solar array up and generating, you would be into that renewed rate. And that was from an ESCO that Bill reached out to give us kind of the current market to see what we would expect that to be. So at a high level, the simple payback, the energy cost, and the system cost are going to tell the story for these options. The top line or the top scenario is financing the project at a neutral annual cash flow. So that's using your SREC sales that are generated, so your renewable energy credits from the solar generation, and then the overall energy savings that you've got by locking in this rate or by generating your own electricity below rate to pay that loan principal. And the basis for that principal was a 30-year loan, 6% interest. That's going to be representative of what you may be able to find available. The second option is a power purchase agreement, PPA, 25-year PPA. So it's where a contractor owns and installs the array on the township buildings, and the township pays for the energy generated from those solar arrays at a predetermined rate, a rate that's going to be contracted in that power purchase agreement. The third option is a direct ownership option of purchasing the system before the federal investment tax credit runs out. And that is July 4th, 2026. And then the option below that, the direct ownership without the federal tax credit, is going to show you kind of the financials for the project if you wait until after next July to get something like this started. So looking at the simple payback column for each option, direct ownership with incentives has the best payback. Direct ownership is going to have the lowest overall system cost of these options because you're not paying interest on a loan and increasing that project cost. The 30-year energy cost column, you're going to see that financing it still beats the expected renewal rate of the 0.088, just barely at 0.086. The power purchase agreement comes in a little bit higher than that expected energy renewal rate. The direct ownership options do provide good savings or are well below that market rate. The upfront capital is what we've got based on $2,200 per kilowatt installed, which is a typical value that we use for these projects. Your incentives column, if you look at the two direct ownership options, it shows you the value of maybe acting now or the value of that 30% federal investment tax credit comes out to be $270,600. And then that net overall cost. So kind of looking at those bullet points, we're using that renewed energy rate, which is what we expect the rate to be, starting at the renewal next November. The PPA cost is coming back as your highest energy cost for each option. So while it's good to have the array, it's going to cost a bit more for the energy. And then, summing it out, those direct ownerships, you can really see that at just under 4 cents per kilowatt hour delivered to the township is coming in at less than half of what that expected renewal rate would be, and even the financing option. And then if you waited and you did the direct ownership after July 4th next year, when the federal investment tax credit runs out, you're going up to just under 6 cents per kilowatt hour.
Can I ask a quick question before we leave this slide? Is that okay? I mean, I don't want to break up the flow. So maybe I'm missing something, but the PPA would cost us more than if we did nothing, right? I mean, if we kept doing what we're doing, the PPA costs us more than that, and someone else owns the equipment. Why would we consider that? I mean, is there some other advantage I'm not seeing to the PPA? Like, we would actually be paying more, right?
I mean, you are putting solar, you're adding the solar, but also I would say you're fixing, for 25 years or whatever the term of the contract is, what you're paying all the way out.
So that
Versus
is consistent.
The 3-year renewals, I'll actually go through on the next chart, the percentage for that we've seen over the last 6 years, the last 2 cycles of those. But there's more risk associated with those versus a PPA knowing long-term out, this is what you're paying.
So that rate is consistent. And then in terms of someone else putting the equipment on the roof, but they own that, right? I mean, at any point, they could decide they don't want it here anymore? I mean, what is the risk that we would think we're going that route and we're not, because it's not really our equipment?
I think it's part of the contract with Kyle, Patrick.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's,
Go ahead.
sorry, I can jump in there. Yeah, that's right. I mean, it would be spelled out in the contract essentially what the stipulations are there. They're pretty stable, long-term contracts. And essentially, your main risk there would just be the longevity of the company that you're contracting with. And so you would want to review that on any proposals that you received on a PPA. You'd want to assess the longevity of the proposer as a collaborative partner on the project.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, if I could just real quick, in June, when we presented, we were going for the bottom 2 recommendations, but because the township doesn't have enough capital to afford the installation, PPA would be a chance for the developer to pay for it, and the financing would be a chance for the township to own it and then pay off the loan hopefully sooner.
That's helpful. Thank you, Bill. And I do appreciate that you were trying to creatively come up with some way that there wasn't a large investment on the front end for us. So I appreciate that. But I just wasn't sure how advantageous this option really was. So that's helpful.
To the point, I mean, you could also buy it. It'll be in the contract, but there'll be options to buy out, as we talked about before, usually after 5 years, as well as, with the financing, pay early, and then create some more financial benefits. I skipped over it on the earlier chart. A lot of this, like I said, was backed, that the PPA numbers really come directly from looking at the Springfield RFP, and then the assumptions of the 2,200 per megawatt hour, I believe that is, value for the installation cost, also supported by the Springfield RFP. So getting back into some of these cost increases that we talked about. So in the 2020 to 2023 timeframe, we were at 4.5 cents per kilowatt hour. Our next negotiation was in 2023. So what we're currently at is just over 6 cents. And then what we did, we asked the ESCO for an estimate back in August. And so they said what our current rate that we would be looking at is 8.8 cents. And that's what the prior analysis was also using. So that's where we are currently. No guarantee that will be at that next year when we're looking to renegotiate, but we've based everything on 8.8 cents going forward for our next contract. Anyway, so those were a 35% increase from 2020-23 to the 2023 to 2026 timeframe, and then a 45% increase. So just want to point out that large step increase. And what that meant to our budget, and cost per year, using our current demand values, but using these rates, the 2020 to 2023 timeframe, we were paying about $122,000 per year. That jumped to $164,000 over 2023 to 2026 due to the rate increase, so a $42,000 increase. And then projecting next year, again, using 8.8 cents, we'd be at almost $239,000 per year for these two buildings, electric demand. So again, a $74,000 increase. Solar could offset, 19% was a total, but it would reduce that cost by $45,000. Obviously, you're paying for the solar up front, but that's what you'd start to see annual savings at that 8.8 cent rate. So you get down the increase starting next year down to just $29,000, and then the 3-year savings for that 45,000, 45 times 3, 135,000. So there's fixed pricing here that brings certainty to the budget, which should be of value to the township, and there's risk associated with the unknown future. Just speaking, we talked about pricing. Now let's talk about the timing. Why do it now? So next year, with the current federal administration, they've decided to expire all the federal tax credits. As we said, our analysis is looking at including a $270,000 federal credit in some of these estimates, right? So you'd be losing $270,000 if we can't meet that commencement of construction by next July. As well, right now through the end of the year, we've got the SEM through December to help us with the draft RFP and the evaluation of any bidders that we have up until that point. No guarantee that we'll be able to get them for next year. Talked about the pricing and ability to lock in these rates, reduce the risk of those negotiating next November at the 8.8 or potentially higher. And then actually both roofs are fairly new right now. We've come with a 30-year expected life on them.
Community Center's 30 years.
But this one's newer. So, helping us get through a 25 or 30-year lifespan of those solar panels. You don't want to have an old roof, take all the panels off, replace the roof, put them back on. That'll be added maintenance costs that you wouldn't want to see. And just a refresher, when you've got a flat roof, they don't drill into your roof. It's ballasted, so there's actually no penetrations that are put into your roof when you're putting those on. Impetus here, I think I could go on for another hour or so, right, talking about climate change. We could have a great talk about it, but it's a global war out there. There's those that want to deny that it's happening, put it off. The truth is we really need to be doing something about this way more than we are doing, and here is our opportunity to do something. Here's our opportunity to make our contribution. It's a small percentage, yes, but just like the SUP, single-use plastics or something, it was a small measure. We did what we could to make a difference. Here we have our opportunity to do what we can to make a difference. And we did sign that Ready for 100 resolution back in 2019, and we do have a 2030 goal to meet. So and it's going to take time to get there. We can't wait until 2033, 2034 in order to start making these decisions. Time is now. And building on that, just putting up some numbers, kind of translating how we can help the environment. This project would reduce the CO2 emissions of the township by 134 metric ton equivalent annually. That's equivalent to removing 29 cars from the road annually. And I also have this, kind of hard to understand, but social cost of carbon. It's the cost of repairing from storm damage. It's the cost of additional medical bills, et cetera, et cetera. It's actually the EPA or DOE that puts out a cost of carbon estimate, and we try to convert that into, saving that carbon. How much would it reduce that cost that we'd be passing on to future generations? And so calculated at about 5.5 cents per kilowatt hour. That's not a cost that anyone in here is paying directly into electricity. But like I said, a disassociated cost that we all pay. And that when we emit carbon, we're passing this on to our future selves, our future children. And here, we're showing examples where we can actually purchase the electricity for less than this cost alone. Why pass it on to future generations when we can do something about it now? So in conclusion, the pricing looks compelling. Didn't talk really about the total savings, but over a 30-year life expectancy, you saw like a little over 9 years payback on the direct purchase, saving into our pockets, the township pockets, for the remainder of the 25, 30-year life of the system. That could amount to hundreds of thousands of dollars for the township. Timing is right. We talked about the building, the roofs. SDM able to help us, and really the big thing is $270,000 of federal tax incentives. And yet, this for global climate change and doing our part cannot be understated. So please approve. Pursuing it's a non-committal RFP. I know a little hesitant on doing that if we're not really serious about doing it, but it would still be non-committal. But the time is right and the pricing looks advantageous. So I'd like to move forward with this. Put up just a summary of some of the numbers we talked about, but any further questions?
Does anyone have questions? From council? How does a non-committal RFP work? What does that mean? Is there a cost associated with it, with putting that out?
Turn it over. Kyle and Patrick, from your work, if you could talk just the RFP process in here.
Sure. So, in general, it would be soliciting proposals from solar developers who are capable of delivering a project of this nature, and soliciting their pricing and their basic plans. These are kind of proposals that solar developers are able to put forward kind of all the time. But it'd be soliciting them in such a way that you're not obligated to award. So everybody submitting a proposal would be aware of that. But I would recommend, if there is interest in, of course, moving forward, you would structure it to where you are not obligated to award, but you would have the option to award should, things come back favorable enough to where you actually want to move forward. So that would be the basic structure of the RFP as we kind of would first envision it.
I think there's been a few contracts here that we've done in that similar vein where we go out to RFP and it's well above the budgeted amount, and then we decide or council decides that we're not going to move forward on it. So all it is basically you're going to start the process of seeing what the cost would be, but it's not committing you to actually take the next steps.
So when the low bid comes in, you're not legally required to accept it and move forward?
Correct.
Is the RFP specific to, it seems like the PPA is its own creature. There's this direct ownership, so is there like one RFP for PPA and one RFP for, how does that work? What would the RFP be asking people to bid on?
Springfield had both options in theirs, but yeah, I can.
No, that's right. You can kind of choose how you want to structure it. In helping Springfield put theirs out, we basically gave the proposers an option 1, option 2, for their responses, and they could bid on either one or both and submit a proposal. Most, I will say, I think all opted to provide a proposal for direct ownership, and about half opted to provide a proposal for PPA. So, if either ownership structure is of interest, I think you can structure the RFP to kind of allow either response or both.
What kind of project was done in, did you say Springhouse? Springfield, sorry.
Yes.
What was that on their township property, their township buildings?
Yep, that's right. So their project was similar scale, about, whereas this is 400, a little over 400 kW DC. Their total system scale was about 380, so very comparable. And it was across 3 of their roofs, across their admin building and 2 of their public works buildings. On the rooftops was their scope.
Springfield, Montgomery, or Delaware County?
Montgomery.
Okay. I think Mike Taylor's the manager.
Engineer.
Okay, does anyone else have questions or comments? Anyone from our township departments? Okay. I want to thank all of you, Patrick, Kyle, Andy, for putting this together. You've given us a lot to consider, a lot to think about, and we certainly will be thinking about it. Thank you so much for the time and all this effort that you all have put in. I really appreciate it. We all do.
By dropping the call if you're still there. Hit the red button.
Okay, next up for discussion will be recommendations for the 2026 rates for the GPC rooms and the pool passes and the park pavilions. Bill?
So the memo I circulated has 3 items. The GPCC rental rates for the rooms in the gymnasium, we normally adjust them every 2 years, so they stay intact for 2 years. So we wanted to keep on that schedule, so those adjustments are in red on the sheet we use to keep track of the fees. The pavilion rates, that's probably been longer than 2 years. It was probably right after COVID when we did those, but it feels like it's time. They're pretty popular. And then third, for the annual passes and monthly passes for GPCC, we're not going to recommend raising them because we're not whole. We don't have the pool. So we'll look at that next year when we're back up and running.
Okay, is this something we need to decide tonight or at our budget meeting, or when
If
do we
you
do
would
this?
like to move forward with this, we'll put it on as an action item for next week to approve these rates, and then we bake those rates into the budget.
Okay, so it doesn't get delayed till budget time?
Yep.
Okay.
It's just partly the room rental rates, people plan early, so we don't want to go back and say, hey, we changed it. So we try to get it on the books and be ready to go. It won't take effect till January 1st. That's why we do it that way.
Appreciate that, Phil, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'm sorry, did you say this, Phil? These rates, the last time they were increased was?
Would have been the beginning of 24, 25. These rates were in effect for 24, 25.
Gotcha.
Yeah, usually it's a 2-year cycle. And the reason we got to that is it's nice to wait, but then you have to raise them too much, and that makes people angry. So a little bit each time has worked for us over the years. So there's a little bit of a science behind it.
And you'll see that there is an action item proposed on the draft agenda for next Monday, under action items, letter D, if council is inclined to do that. If not, we can strike it from next week's agenda.
So, anyone have any questions about these rate increases? I think general ones are probably either comparable or lower than other community centers in the area. And of course, our pavilions are, there's just no comparison to anybody else in the immediate area.
I think so, yeah.
We offer above and beyond.
Sounds reasonable. I don't think it's smart not to raise the rates when the pool got a commission
Yeah,
of it, so
that's
it's
not fair.
the right thing
Yeah,
to do.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
We'll look at it next year, once we're up and running again. We'll see what the annual passes look like, so.
Okay. Any questions from council? Would you like to see this put as an action item for next week?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Phil. Appreciate that. Okay, next we have our departmental updates. I don't know, we never established an order. We just
I'll start today.
And we have some chairs available now if Rebecca and Jim and Mike want to come up and join the party. Rebecca doesn't want to do, Rebecca can't talk about what she does. She's HR. But we welcome you, Rebecca. And you know potty has an R in it, so just in the minutes, make sure. Okay, so go ahead, Matt.
All right, great.
Chomping
Thank
at
you.
the bit.
Well, hey, it's budget season, and, nerd alert, I really like budget season, because I'm a numbers kind of guy. And something that I'm excited to discuss with council tonight, Kellen and I have been putting a lot of time and effort into how we rebrand the budget, how we create a budget document that is more digestible for you all. And a couple of the things that we would like to propose to council, because it's going to affect you, is that we're proposing, and our management team is on board, to eliminate the 3 special budget meetings this year and only present the budgets during the regularly scheduled meetings. Like, we'd have the workshop meeting in November and the regular meeting in November. Have November. You say, wait a minute, where are we going to have an opportunity to talk about the nuts and bolts? We're proposing that we would like to schedule small group meetings with 2 council members and all of us to talk about the details of the budget ahead of a public meeting. That's a methodology that I've used in my previous places, and I find it to be really effective because the budget is the most outward-facing, most important document of every municipality. And you all need to be in a really good position to know the ins and outs, know what you're going to be expected to talk about in a public meeting. And I find it really helpful for you to have that opportunity to be able to ask questions to each of the department directors ahead of that public meeting. I find it's a much more effective use of everyone's time. Council's in a position to feel a lot more confident once we roll this out in a public setting, and it's more efficient. We're willing to do the groundwork and commit to a full day or 2 of those small group meetings. We're talking about 2-hour meetings per chunks. We're ready to commit. And we think that that would be a much better way for us to help explain the budget. The budget does not need to be difficult and complicated. I'm a numbers kind of guy, and I find this budget to be really difficult to follow. And so we're looking at ways that we can redesign it to make it more digestible, make it more coherent, so we all follow along and know what those numbers mean, what they recommend. And I just wanted to say thank you, special shout out to Kellen. He's really the brains behind it. I'm the promoter of this, right? It's just been fun watching him just retool everything, and we are aligned with where we believe that we need to go and where we need to go. And we're really excited to roll this out to council. And if council wants to go and schedule the 3 extra meetings, we'd be happy to do that. But we're proposing something different. And so if you are all on board with that, We would like to try that this year, and if I was a betting man, which I'm not, because I'm a numbers guy, I think you're going to find it really much more effective and useful, especially as we roll this out publicly.
So the idea would be that all of the department heads would be available for each of the 2 council member meetings. And
The idea is like we would schedule a day, understanding some schedules. We might need to do in late afternoon, early evening bucket, and have 2-hour windows. Have one like maybe like a 9 to 11, 12 to 3, whatever. We can design it. Take a day. We're going to do wash, rinse, repeat. We're going to be given the same presentation 3 different times, independently of all of you. And the idea is to have 3 groups of 2. So there's going to be one of you who will actually see it twice. Because something that Lynn, Karen, and I talked about when we were discussing this last week, there's value in having a fellow council person there to hear your perspectives. And so in order to do that, let's do 3 groups of 2. So I leave it up to the 5 of you if you want to go down this path of who gets to draw the short straw and listen to the 2-hour presentation of the budget.
Well, it will depend on work schedules as well. And I think because some of us have daytime availability, but others, like Aaron and Nick, are working throughout the day, and it depends on which day it is, Kristen's obligations. So we used to have 3 evenings and various department heads. So if we needed an evening meeting, say starting at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock to accommodate someone's work schedule,
yes,
we could do that, or very late afternoon, just keeping in mind, you guys would have a late dinner that night or something, but.
We still like it better than having 3 additional evening meetings, speaking for the group.
Well, just my favorite time too, so I can take a day off and I can go listen twice.
Excellent.
I think we just had a volunteer. So, I know.
It's my favorite part.
No, but what do you all think of this? First of all, a simplified budget.
And we believe we can present the budget in one fell swoop. And we're going to propose in November, so October is going to be the small group meeting. Get your arms around it. We're going to explain some changes of how we're accounting some things. Some numbers have changed, how we've redesigned it, get you all the ability to ask questions. And then we roll it out publicly in November. The November meeting cycle, we're proposing to present it twice, the same thing. First one at the workshop meeting, see if there's any public questions, that sort of thing.
Right.
We take the week, make some final adjustments, and if there were any adjustments, present the final budget at that regular meeting in November for council consideration for adoption in December.
So are there any members of council who are opposed to fewer meetings and a simpler budget? So I think we all love this idea.
Okay, good, thank you. Good. Hey, it's a lot. It's a lot of change, and I want to be respectful to your expectations and how you want to manage this, because this is, as I said earlier, the most important document that you are all in control of. And I really want you all to be in a position to understand it and make a really good decision about where we move forward.
Okay, and I understand that Matt and Kellen have already run this by all the department heads, and so
we're just looking for
now's your time, if you really resent the idea of having the now's your time to let us know that you do not want to have to talk to us 3 times about your particular department. 4 times. Okay.
Boy,
Anyone?
making me sweat bullets there.
It's a go. It's a go. All right, so I guess thank you very much, Kellen, for all the work you've done on this, and you too, Matt, for making us more efficient.
I'm the salesperson. Kellen is the mechanic. He's the one fixing everything up. So I'm looking forward to revealing the new budget, updated budget process to you, and you'll be hearing from me more in the upcoming weeks. And yeah, we are still going to have our fire companies and emergency services present in the October workshop meeting. I think there's value in them coming in and presenting to the whole body also.
Right, our non-township
Yes.
employees,
Yep.
Harmonville and
I forgot that
Plymouth
detail.
Ambulance and Plymouth Fire, they'll come and present at our workshop.
Yep. Excellent, thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the effort that the two of you put into this very much. And, you know, the buy-in that all the rest of you all have given to them for this. So I guess we'll just go around the room. Mike, you're up.
That was so good that I can't top that. I have nothing to update you on.
I think that kind of tops it.
There you go.
Okay, nothing to report until budget time, right? Okay, thank you very much, Mike. Kellen, did you have anything in addition to present as,
No, so pretty much the department heads have submitted their budgets, just getting them all together, making meetings with Matt for them to present to Matt and myself later on in the month. We got 3 RFPs coming in today for our new auditors, so we'll go over and look for those. I guess I can say the 3 companies, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Malley, Barbicane Thornton, and Zelenovsky Axelrod. The 3 companies that submitted out of the 5 that we sent out to. So look over those the next couple of weeks and end up seeing where we go from there. So other than that,
we're looking forward to the budget?
Yep.
Thank you.
I just
All right,
What is that thing that's happening outside? I
Yeah.
haven't seen that. Rain.
I think it's air conditioning.
seriously?
Sounds like rain on the roof, but it could be the air.
A little rain.
Literally just over us right now.
Sorry. Rain distracting.
So, Chris, what's going on in,
So our last meeting, I said that Glasgow was going to be starting, and they have. They started their milling project, portion of the paving. So they're completed the Terrace Road, the Kennedy Crossing, and Hickory Road milling. Paving will probably begin in the next 6 days. They'll start the paving process, and it shouldn't take long at all. Great contractor, no phone calls, as we like it, and wouldn't even know they're here. Our branch program is starting this week, so Thursday, Friday is the beginning of our branch season. It's 6 weeks program, run into October. And I just wanted to say how successful our electronic shed has been. We have a lot of people taking advantage of throwing out anything with a plug, our TVs, but anything with a plug can go in the electronic shed. We're kind of the only game in town, which is pretty interesting because we do have, sometimes the county says, oh yeah, Plymouth Township has the electronic shed. So they try to come into our area, but
is that a problem or a good thing? Because whenever someone asks in social media, where can I bring it? I always say, well, if you live in Plymouth, you can bring it at these hours, these days. But what about if someone from a neighboring community, is that?
we don't allow them.
Okay.
Because we don't have enough room in our shed.
Okay, good.
And we do have to pay a fee, small fee, which is smaller than any other fee around, really. But it's been going well.
Okay, then I'll continue to tell if you live in Plymouth Township, you can come to our shed and recycle. And we've been there a number of times, getting rid of old cables and wires and.
Yeah, it's amazing now you're having all flat screens. We had, the tube TVs for a long time, and now the flat screens are coming in. But it's been good. It's been steady.
Thank you. Always appreciate your innovations for saving the township money and providing services. So the branch program, again, is, maybe this is something we should announce at our public meeting. You call when you want the branches picked up, right?
Get on the list, yep.
Get on the list. They don't just, it's not like our yard waste where you come by
You have to
every
get on the list,
Wednesday.
yeah.
This is a call for service.
Yep.
Okay, so we will, I think we should announce that so that members of the public know how to get branches picked up.
Yep, that's all I got.
Thanks, Chris. Jim, you're up. Thank you.
Basically,
Everything's going normal. Everything's running smooth. We are working on, with Tracer, we're trying to eliminate postage. And basically, hopefully this year, we're going to email all of our licenses out to the people that need to renew their license each year to save all that postage. And at 79 cents each postage, 400 times, that's just one. And we're doing 3 of them. So if everything goes good, it'll be a tremendous savings to us.
So you're able to email the permit or license, or what, kind of like registering your car. If you do it online, you don't
Basically,
have to get it in the mail.
it's set up to go online, but the stuff that we can't do online, we're going to email them the application and everything, so they can basically fill it out, but hopefully we'll have them all online.
Great, so we don't mail the paperwork to people. We let them download and print their own, right?
Correct.
Awesome. I like that, saving some trees and postage. Thank you, Jim. Okay, IT.
Everything's good. Everything's running nice and smooth. We have a core switch that we're replacing. We're in the middle of doing that. We have everything is configured. Now we're just waiting for the room to be finished, and then we'll install.
Thanks, Len, appreciate it. Chief, do you have things for us tonight?
The only thing I was going to mention was one of the things I noticed when I was looking over our statistics is that our unhoused public assistance has been continuing to trend upwards. So if you go back about 6-7 years, just before COVID, we were consistently for decades about 20 calls for service to anybody that was unhoused. Since then, we're trending toward 200 for this year, so it's 10 times as much. So, and every year it's been going up about 20 or 30. So just to give an idea, one of the things that we're going to be participating in is I talked to Gail Plant, who said that the church on the mall is considering doing the Code Blue shelter again, and she asked for some assistance in just backing up their position because they get a little bit of resistance from mall security. So we're going to be talking with mall security and the developer there. So one thing I'm going to do is take our social service responder, Fiona, with us this time, because this is part of what she does working, and I want them to see some of the stuff that we can offer to help. And then I'm going to even ask them, what is it we could do to lighten the load on mall security, absent, shooing people away or anything like that, but what is their problem that maybe we can assist with? So that's one of the things, and that's coming up actually September 10th. We're going to have that meeting to see if we can get them set up for the winter.
Great, that's good news, actually, really good news.
Yeah.
The church on the mall. It's fantastic. Okay. Phil, we did any other updates?
The pool started today, not to steal Rick's thunder, so.
Oh.
He's the one who really got that going, so we're glad we're one day closer to being able to reopen. The pool staff has repurposed to do some dry programs, so we're adding fitness and a new Halloween event that they would have normally done in the pool. So, and we have our typical fall stuff going on, hayride at HWP, bingo, that type of stuff. And we expect a fair amount of people are going to use the fitness center or use the pool, so we were glad to see that.
It seemed like there were more people there in that later morning slot than I usually see inside the fitness center.
Yeah, I think they did a lot of orientations last month, so
okay.
I didn't expect that, but it's good. Yeah, so we'll be able to keep them as customers, so.
And they're staying fit.
Staying fit, yeah, exactly. So we're doing well. The bricks are in for the monument. I know we talked a couple times about replacing the bricks, so that's on Rick's list too, so to get those installed. But ideally.
He's taking over.
Yeah, well,
I'll have to say much.
Ideally, we can at Veterans Ceremony kind of christen the new bricks. So that gives us a time frame, but they look good.
It's wonderful. Okay. Rick, anything else besides?
Besides the pool and the bricks, so we just finished up shutdown week at the community center, so that went well. That was last week before Labor Day. So, yeah, and, you know, the pool started today, obviously, you guys, I saw a couple of you over there today, so.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming, so it's good that they're finally starting.
I saw the water was draining out.
Yes.
And thanks for your help on the Harmonville project also.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Well, it's not your.
Oh, tell me about that.
So, I mean, they have, the demolition is pretty much complete now. I'm gonna be stealing Lonnie's stuff.
No, that's fine, go ahead.
The demolitions, I think they were hauling out the rest of the blacktop on Saturday. So I think, you know, they're gonna start footings and that stuff soon.
It really looks different driving down
Yeah,
Germantown Pike.
it's different.
Thanks, Rick.
Sure.
Have anything for us, Lonnie? Did you
Sure.
steal all of it?
Well, the site at Harmonville, the demos was done and it's being taken away, including the water fountain and some trees. And the basketball courts are down too, that's all gone. Oh yeah, I was gonna tell you about the trees that they were allowed to take out. They did a good job keeping the ones that we wanted them to keep.
Good.
Went a little far with the scrub vegetation, but stuff will grow. They'll plant stuff in place of that. If you look at it now, it looks like it got wiped out, but the good trees are still there. The crappy trees are out, and there'll be plantings in their place to make it look fuller when it's done.
Native plantings, right? Native species.
I'll have to check with our landscape architect, but sure.
Follow the ordinance, it should be.
Yes.
There you go.
And then the other thing is, the other update was 2622 Butler Pike. The contractor's back in converting the sediment basins that were used during construction to post-construction stormwater management basins. They hauled away the cattails on Basin 2. That's the basin when you walk in, when you drive in the drive straight, so to the right. That's been hauled away, and they'll be converting that. And they'll be doing some other work on the first basin off to the left. It's not fully done yet. And the last house was sold.
Oh.
I saw a pod in the driveway, like one of those mover pods. So I suspect somebody's moving in there now, so.
Nice.
And then once that work gets done, then I think the only thing left to do is to final pave the driveways and the roadways in.
Rick, has there been any problem with parking when the people at that new HOA have events
So we did have-
using the Harriet Weatherall parking lot? Has that been a problem for?
There was one instance where we had a pavilion rental, and I think somebody there had a birthday party. I think what we decided to do is we were gonna put some signs up that said for park patrons only.
Okay.
There was one time for sure that I know of. I didn't hear of any others, but, yeah. There's barely enough parking if you have a large pavilion rental.
Yes, because that's a big pavilion with a playground, and there have been some huge parties there, so. Okay, good. And if it continues to be a problem, maybe we can just send a notice that is to those residents, that's a township property for township park use only, and not for,
Overflow park.
It's in the ordinance, it's in the park ordinance, you can only use the park parking for park activities.
Right. But,
Stop them.
yeah, we can cite an ordinance, it makes it more official. Thank you. Thanks, Lonnie. Anyone else have any last minute thoughts, or? Okay, so that's our department updates, thank you all. Okay, reviewing our agenda for the upcoming regular meeting next week. We have motion to adopt a resolution to recognize Anthony Lisi's service on the Harbor Board Anyone want to take that?
Yeah, I can take that one.
Thank you, Aaron. Okay, then our typical motion to approve minutes and bills I will do. All right, we will need a motion to approve the proposed rental rates for the GPCC and the pavilions and pool passes.
I'll do it.
Thank you, Kristen. Okay, escrow release for 2622 Butler Pike is you, Lynn? Should be me. And a time extension for 1441 East Ridge. Which ward is that? Is that you?
Yeah, that's me.
That's you, so Nick, thank you. Take that one. All right, we will have, those are our action items for next week. Our information items for next week will be our chief of police regular departmental update, and also, Chief, you're going to have some words to say about remembering Officer Brad Fox. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
That's always so important. It's still so present in the minds of everyone who lives in Plymouth. It really is. Citizens Board vacancy announcements. I'll take it. Thank you, Lynn. Announcements of our upcoming zoning hearings. Thanks, Aaron. The Parks and Recreation upcoming events. Thanks, Nick. And then the Cunnytown update. Where are we on that?
I don't know. For some reason, I feel like we're back to me, but I'm not sure about that.
Sure, it's all yours.
We're short.
Okay, and then we will have a public comment time. And I just want to point out that our workshop agenda, which is always posted on the website. I want to thank Matt for designing it so that the public understands what goes on at the workshop. So he has a little explanation at the top, and he will for our regular meeting, as well as under public comment, letting people know that there is public comment at our workshop meetings and how it should be structured. The slight difference between workshops but always public comments. So thank you, Matt, for making this redesign. I think it really helps the public understand the difference between our workshop. I think some people wonder, why do we go so quickly with things at the regular meeting, not understanding that they have been hashed out and questioned at our workshop. So thank you.
We'll also have the ordinance for the map amendment if council's interested in moving forward on that.
This will be after the zoning hearing?
This will be after the,
I mean, not the zoning hearing, the max.
yes,
The text amendment.
the map amendment hearing.
Map
So we'll
amendment,
hold a formal hearing, close the record, and then there will be a second motion to adopt the ordinance changing the four parcels in question. If it's a separate item of an ordinance that's already been prepared and provided to Matt, that's ready to go.
Okay, so that would be an action item.
Yes.
So
I
should
would recommend putting that first.
first on
After.
the action items? Okay, so
Just like
before or
both.
after we recognize Mr. Lisi?
I'd
I
put
think
before.
before. Okay, so number A, things will be renumbered.
Yep.
And there will be the potential action item on the map amendment.
And who would like to take that?
I think it's an ordinance, so Mike can handle it.
Okay, yep.
Okay, so that's being done by you,
Yes.
Alex. Thank you. That's a solicitor job.
Solicitor's doing that here. There was one, if we want to add the branch pickup under information items.
Yes.
Anybody want to take that one?
Sure. Okay, Lynn will do the branch pickup. Thank you. I think it's good to let people know, so it's on their radar. I mean, I'm always like anxious in the fall, the branch pickup, because I have a lot of trees, Rick.
I know the feeling.
And people who prune trees and end up with, like the branch pruned off. Okay, anything else from anybody? All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you, guys.